With football around the corner, time to start building up that bankroll. And we want to help by slashing the cost of all daily picks packages priced at $25 or more, including 5% best bets through the end of July. This amazing promotion runs from Tuesday, July 12th to midnight on Sunday, July 31st, and drops the pricing down to $25 daily packages for $12.50, 29 daily combo packages for $14.50, and $35 5% best bets for $17.50. But even better, this is the perfect time to take advantage of our one-day all-access pass. This package locks in the handicapper of your choice for one whole day for only $39, including when they have a 5% top play that usually sells for $35. But during our 50% slash promotion, you get a one-day all-access for only $19.50. We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not, the premier sports betting information provider in North America. Our special discount pricing goes live on Tuesday, runs through the end of the month, does not require a coupon, and is available just by going to your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo Handicappers homepage right now.
4.
Hello, everyone. It is Open Championship Week. We are back for another episode of Tea Time from Vegas. I'm Nick Borrman of WagerTalk.com. With me, as always, my co-host, Andy Lang, here to break down all the fun for the year's final major. Andy, welcome, my friend. How you doing?
Oh, man, doing great. It tees off here less than 24 hours away. So we've got, you could say, a little bit of controversy. We've got pretty incredible conditions, as it looks like it's very dry, very fast, and maybe not too much wind, which could be setting up for some really, really low scores. And on top of that, you and I both coming in with momentum. Congratulations for hitting the big winner. I've now cashed 6 tournaments in a row. So all signs are pointing up for a really exciting and profitable tournament. I know you're jacked up for this. So are you going to either stay up late and watch it or get up early and watch part of it? Well, with your schedule, what do you do with this one?
It's probably a little bit of both because I'm sick and, forget to sleep when I probably should. So it'll probably be a little bit of both. Yeah, stay up, see that opening tee shot or two, and then go to sleep for 3 hours and wake up and watch all day long as much as I can. So I can't wait to watch it. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, there was I noticed it yesterday. They were showing a picture of mowing one of the tops of the bunkers, and they had a guy standing in the bunker. Okay, holding the side of like a push mower, right? The one that a little different than you'd have in the yard, but similar. Holding the side of it while the other guy's mowing the bank. I'm like, this does not look safe at all.
No,
yes,
thanks.
hold the side of a mower as it's going on. Hey, whatever you got to do for the Open Championship. Before we get into today's show, let's give the viewers the promo code, the offer for this week. You can get this week's pack for just $19. Use promo code OPEN20, so that's going to save you $20 off the normal price of $39. Get either Andy or myself's pack for just $19. That does include a 5% play for either one of us this week. So those are rare for us in golf. So we each have a 5% play loaded, all for just $19. So head over to WagerTalk.com to check that out. And again, the code is OPEN20. All right, Andy, before we get into this week, let's do a quick recap of last week, our best bets and worst bets segment. How did you make out from last week? What was your best and what was your worst?
I always tread a little bit carefully coming into a major. So I had 3 bets, went 2-1 for +3 units, which is perfect for me. Best bet, always great when you hit your 4% best bet of the week. That was Joaquin Niemann over Victor Hovland. The struggles we've documented pretty well on this show about Victor Hovland, and we keep cashing week after week on that one. So that was pretty much a no sweat. Niemann played really well. Hovland was absolutely awful. 2 missed cuts in a row for him. My worst bet, unfortunately, was the one I gave out on the show, which was Sam Burns over Cameron Smith. They both make the cut by 1. So it's like, maybe, if Burns would have messed up a shot, then that would have been over on Friday. But if Cameron Smith would have messed up 1 shot, we could have cashed it. But Cameron Smith pulls away on the weekend. That was my only loss. So, but Joaquin Niemann over Victor Hovland might be a theme. Nick, spoiler, I already know what your best bet is, but it's your time to gloat, man. Congratulations on the big hit.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you to Xander, 20-1, for cashing the outright ticket that the Scottish Open last week. He was right in that sweet spot that I've been highlighting as we preview each tournament of who's been winning these tournaments. So thank you, Xander. It was a good week overall. Besides him, as I've been doing the last few weeks now, is I also had him top 10, top 20. Had Matthew Fitzpatrick top 10, top 20. Had Cam Smith top 10, top 20. The really flops that I had was my best bet last week, which I gave out on the show, Sung Jae Im, to finish top 20. I mean, he was 7 shots off the cut line. It was pretty bad. I did not see that coming from him. So it'll be interesting to see how he rebounds this week. I'm not going to touch him, but I'm sure he'll finish, tied for 12th this week. So, but such is golf. And you're right about Hovland, man. It's a fickle thing. And he was a bet on guy all beginning of the season. And he is a stay away guy or fade guy certainly right now. So best of luck if you continue to fade away from him. All right, let's move on to the Open Championship this week. As always, we do like to start off the show and the breakdown of the week with looking at the top 10 total strokes gained over the last 6 months coming into this event. And of course, you're going to expect the list you see here on the screen. I mean, it is literally all of the best players in the world. The only one that's a slight anomaly on here would be Shane Lowry, officially world golf ranking is 22, but if you've been following golf at all this year, he's been as hot as anybody. Just hasn't quite won, so he belongs on that graphic. But otherwise, I mean, it's all the top 10 guys right here, led by Rory, Scotty, Matthew Fitzpatrick, JT. I mean, the list is as good as it gets. So I would be very surprised if this thing is not won by one of these guys. I threw in a couple notables here. These are other top players that didn't quite make the graphic. Cam Smith was actually number 11, so he's right there. Colin Morikawa, defending champ, he's been playing better, as you can see, over the last 3 months, so trending in the right direction. And then you have Jordan Spieth, who probably will get a lot of attention this week just because it's a links course, and he always does well at the links course. And again, similar to Morikawa, he's been trending a lot better over the last 3 months as well, and had a pretty good week last week. So that's our top 10 for this week. And let's get into the tournament itself, a little bit about the field, a little about the course. I think most people know about St. Andrews. It is the 30th time that St. Andrews has hosted the Open Championship. But Andy, I'll let you take it away. What are some things the viewers should know about the event this week?
Well, I would also like to just start off by saying, for the record, I believe Shane Lowry is better than the 22nd best golfer on the planet.
Agreed.
Wednesday morning, what do we know about the course? We know it's lightning fast. I was going through Twitter this morning, Nick, and read there's someone out on the course that watched Bryson DeChambeau hit a 6-iron off the tee that ended up going 305 yards after it stopped rolling. It just seems like it's getting faster and faster. The weather is obviously the huge X factor. It always is with the Open Championships. To me, it looks like it's at least going to be consistent all the way through. So I don't think we're going to get the dreaded, like, one tee time is way better than the other. It looks like everybody's going to face pretty similar. So I'm happy to see that. Looks like anywhere between 10, maybe up to 25 miles an hour, but I think everyone's going to be playing in the same. I think it's going to stay under the threshold of where it could really cause problems for guys. And with seeing how dry this course is, there are so many short par fours that I think guys are going to be able to get it really, really close to the green. I think it's going to be pretty low scoring. It's a beautiful course. It's so picturesque. And of course, you have the amazing 18th hole, which is one of the best finishing holes maybe ever on a completely iconic course. So, Nick, I think stats that I'm going to be looking at is not necessarily approaches, but proximity to the hole. These are huge greens. They have, I think, 7 shared greens, which I always love. The fairways are just massive. And the other big thing that you got to watch out for is 112 bunkers. Some of them are very deep. A lot of them are small. But when you see some of these videos online of the golfers trying to get out of some of the bunkers, that can be the course's best defense. Overall, I think the wind is going to be easy enough to where these guys should tear it up. But I expect the course, the speed to be the biggest issue. And as Tiger Woods has always said about this course, lag putting is so important because the greens are so big. Even if you hit a green, you might be 80, 90 feet away. And it's so important to be able to figure out the contours of these greens, get the ball close enough to hole to you can tap in for par. So these guys that know the course well and know the greens well are going to do really well. But as far as stats, I think at the end of the day, the leader is going to be full of guys who can get the ball pretty close to the pin on their approaches and lag putting. So that's my takeaway. What did I miss? What do you got on this course?
You mentioned videos of the bunkers, and guys, you're probably alluding to the Justin Rose one where he tried to
Justin
get out.
Rose is one of them. Yep.
Caught the ball and then just kind of chucked it out. So yeah, St. Andrews does have a lot of pot bunkers, and that's what makes any link style course a lot of fun. But yeah, you nailed it. I mean, bunkers all over the place. 129 yards on that first fairway is how wide that thing is. Of course, it's the same fairway as number 18, so it makes sense. It's two fairways, but still, better not miss that one. And the 7 double greens is pretty cool. There's a couple of them. I think there's 3, maybe 4 that are over 100 yards wide on the green. Of course, you're most likely not to find the complete opposite side. Although there was a story I was reading a few years back where now I forget the player, but he hit to the wrong green, and his caddy looked at him like, "What the hell are you doing?" I mean, he literally missed 50. He didn't miss. He actually hit a crazy shot, but aimed 50 yards wide of the correct flag that he was supposed to be going for. So hopefully the caddies won't let their players do that this week. But you nailed a lot about the course. I have a little bit of history that I kind of wanted to talk about as far as majors in general and how this, being the 150th edition of the Open Championship could, obviously it's going to be historic, but there's some interesting facts of some other big milestones that we've seen at majors. So let's flash back to 1986 at Augusta National, the 50th edition of the Masters. If you know anything about golf, you already know who won that year. And of course, that's, the greatest of all time, maybe second greatest if you argue Tiger, is Jack Nicklaus coming back to win that. And it was a historic comeback, and he was 46 years old. So Jack wins the 50th edition of the Masters. Then you move to 2000. We have the 100th edition of the U.S. Open. And who wins that? Tiger Woods. By 15 shots, nonetheless. He was 12 under par. The runner-ups, one of them, Ernie Els, was +3. So that was just complete domination by Tiger when he was in his prime. Now we move forward to the 150th at St. Andrews. So you got the 2 best golfers of all time winning those 2. Who's it going to be this week? Well, you got Tiger in the field. Okay. You got Phil, definitely the most decorated after Tiger in this field, but obviously Tiger and Phil are probably more of a hope and a prayer type player this week. But the tournament favorite, Rory McIlroy, comes to mind next. I mean, he's supposed to be that next guy and came out that way. Kind of struggled for a few years back, but he's back into form now. Is the reason he's number 1 on tour in strokes gained overall. And he's a 21-time winner. He's already won just a few weeks ago. It just seems too perfect to possibly not be Rory this week. But one way or another, history will be made. I just thought it was very interesting to see the history of who's won these anniversary-type tournaments. So we'll see what happens over the next 4 days. The weather, you touched on it. It will be consistent, which is good. You don't have to worry about the draws. At least I don't think either. I agree with you on that. But you never know with the wind. I mean, as we saw at the Scottish last week, we previewed the tournament, and the forecast was similar as far as, they weren't expecting crazy winds. And then, of course, really Thursday, I mean, it was the guys were missing far. I mean, those winds cranked up. And even if it's only for a couple hours, it's enough to cause a lot of damage to those guys. So time will tell, but it does seem to be rather docile for Scotland. So we'll see how it plays out. All right, let's move on to our bets and our previews of some players for the week. I will start first. I mean, I mentioned it when I looked at that top 10 graphic to start the show. Very little chance I'm going to venture outside of that top 10, and I'm going to stick right there with my first guy. And this one pains me. It makes me feel good. It's Matthew Fitzpatrick, who I loved and have taken forever, and then I laid him off him at the U.S. Open, and he did me dirty and goes and wins it. So I can't make that mistake again. I have to go back to Matthew Fitzpatrick. Right now, he's 20-1. This always seemed like the major that he would most likely win because he's won over in Europe plenty. He's from England, so he's got the background. So this one makes a lot of sense. And even with expectations obviously much higher now for him coming off of that U.S. Open, he played great last week at the Scottish. He finished tied for 6th, his 5th top 10 finish in his last 6 starts. In 14 starts this year, Andy, in 2022, he does have 3 missed cuts, but in the other 11 events, okay, he's finished in the top 20 in all of them. So when he makes the weekend, he is in contention. And that's what I always say every week is I just want a guy that has a chance come Sunday. It doesn't always work out, but I just want to have that chance. So I think we'll have that with Fitzy. Little weakness in his game. He's top 35 in all 6 measured strokes gained categories, which puts him number 2 this year in total strokes gained behind only Rory. Ranks number 2 in scoring average, number 3 strokes gained tee to green, number 3 in scrambling, which usually at an Open Championship is a pretty important statistic because these guys have to get pretty creative with putts from 50 yards off the green sometimes and other weird things going on. So we'll see how it plays out, but I do like Fitzy this week at 20-1. Andy, let's go to you. You got your segment, players that might trip you up this week. You have a lot of big names to choose from. Obviously, it's a major. So who are you going to be avoiding this week?
Did good last week on the segment, pretty clear 2-1. I pointed out Matthew Fitzpatrick might trip everyone up. I was a little hesitant seeing what his motivation would be coming into the major, but he was good. But I picked on Will Zalatoris and Hideki Matsuyama, and they were awful. Both missed the cut, weren't even close. So hopefully that helped everyone. Yeah, got 3 big names here. So this segment is big name guys who I think are going to be a little bit overvalued that I expect to be in a lot of people's DraftKings lineups and seasonal leagues. These are warnings, and I'm going to start with one of the biggest names, Justin Thomas. My first guy who can trip you up. This is a guy who's never had a top 10 at an Open Championship, and I know that they play at different courses, but this is a guy who has finished 53rd, miscut, 11, 40th. So there's 53rd, miscut, and 40th in 4 out of the 5 times he's played here, and those are all in the last 5 years. He was awful at the Scottish Open. Now, take that with a grain of salt because I'm pretty sure he threw that tournament when it came out that he had when he had a tee time with Tiger Woods to play 18 holes on Sunday. The only thing that would get in the way of that is if he was actually playing the Scottish Open on Sunday. So maybe he made sure that he wasn't going to do that. But he needs to finish top 5 to return value. And since he has not even finished top 10, I'm not sure he's going to get there. He's finished miscut and 37th his last 2 tournaments. I just think he's not going to return value. I think he can disappoint you this week. Next golfer that can trip you up, defending champion Colin Morikawa. He is priced as another top 5 guy this week. I don't see it. I don't think this course sets up well for him at all. He has 2 top 25 finishes in his last 10 tournaments, and those were at the Masters and the U.S. Open, 2 courses that could not be more different from St. Andrews. Those are 2 courses, very hilly, completely different grass, completely different greens. The conditions this week aren't that difficult. It should be low scoring. And I just don't think he's going to go that low, especially with his struggling with putting. This is a guy that is minus 0.13 strokes gained putting the last 3 months. Listen, if Tiger Woods is telling you that putting and lag putting is important, believe it. And so I just can't I can't see a guy that's struggling with putting this bad returning value when he's priced to be a top 5 guy. And finally, there may not be a more overvalued player this entire year than Jon Rahm. So he's my 3rd guy that can trip you up. Here's his finishes at the majors: 27th at the Masters, 48th at the PGA Championship, and 12th at the U.S. Open. Then he was 55th last week of the Scottish Open. Since February, Jon Rahm has 1 finish better than 10th, and that was the win at the Mexico Open, which, Nick, I think you agree, that was one of the worst fields of the year. It was Jon Rahm and then the Corn Ferry Tour, I guess. And Rahm has played this course 1 time. He missed the cut. It's calm conditions, wide fairways, and this tournament could turn into what he hates the most on tour, Nick, which is a putting contest. So he's very open. He can't stand tournaments that turn into putting contests, and it really could turn into that. And my stat of the week, Nick, is in this field. If you take players from the European and PGA Tour, since May 2nd, 95 of them have as many or more top 10 finishes as Jon Rahm. So
Wow.
his game hasn't been there, and just the eye test, his putting it's just looked really bad. He doesn't look that comfortable. So, and in this segment, I do have to give this little stat out. So there is a player that I'm guessing you've never heard of, because I haven't heard of him either. I'm going to butcher his name. Saddam Kaiwakanjana.
Oh yeah.
So
Kaiwakanjana.
okay. You know him. You played him in our fantasy league last week. So interesting stats. So the last 3 months, he's dead last. He's minus 3.12 strokes gained tee to green, dead last. He's also dead last strokes gained around the green, minus 2.47. But he's plus 2.09 strokes gained putting. Number one in the field this week. So if you're looking for a guy, the hottest putter this week, it's Saddam Kaiwakanjana. There you go.
I would take your advice and go to the betting window with that, but I wouldn't know how to spell his name to find him on the board to actually pick him out. So I don't know if I'll be able to. But Kaiwakanjana. All right, I like it. Good suggestion. Listen, your guys. I always like to kind of a quick recap on who you're tripping up. I couldn't agree more on Morikawa and Rahm. They are certainly not guys I have on my betting card this week. But JT, and this is one reason I love doing the show with you, is we're going to have plenty of times where we disagree, and I'll elude the viewers to say more often than not, Andy's right when we disagree more often than I am. But JT to me this week, perfect segue into my next outright selection, is that I like him because of his price. Yes, you're 100% right on the fact that his links history is not good. His best finish here, tie for 11th at the Open Championship, was his best ever. A lot of the other ones aren't even close. Last week wasn't even close. But north of being 20-1, you just don't see very often in JT, and it's just they're dangling it right there for me to take it. And I felt the same way at the PGA Championship. He was 17-1 at that time, and that was a high price for JT. We always see him at 12-1, 14-1, whatever, and 17-1 was just enough for me to go, you know what? Of course, we know he pulled through and got that victory. But 22-1 on JT is just too good for me to pass up, so I'm going to be on him this week. I can go through all his numbers. Obviously, he's one of the best players out there, so they're all going to be good when you look at it. But he's too good and too creative to not figure this links golf out sooner rather than later. I flash back to the Players Championship, right, and that crazy draw that happened during that tournament where one side was just, terribly set up to fail that week. And JT was on that side of the draw. And during that round, he shot 3 under par, right? And the field average was 5 over par. So, he killed it. And I forget who he was playing with that week, but I remember the caddy of that player had said watching that round of golf with JT was one of, if not the best round of golf he's ever witnessed in his life. And it just, obviously that was one round, anything can happen in one round, but it just goes to show that when, conditions are tough and it's creative, because he was hitting shots, watching the round, it was cool. He was hitting low little bullets. He was hitting fades. He was doing everything he needed to do, which, in a link style course, usually because of the wind, you do have to get creative with your ball flight and your shots. So we'll see how it plays out. But like I said, he's too good to not figure this out sooner rather than later. The one stat I will mention, only because you touched on it too, with proximity. So JT is number 1 on tour this year in birdie average. And if this becomes a putting contest, as you are alluding to, if the weather's not tough, he's number 1 in birdie average because he ranks number 11 in proximity to the hole, which you're looking at this week. And then he's number 3 in putting per green in regulation, which you also mentioned, and of course Tiger mentioned, is important this week. So that's why he's number 1 in birdie average. He hits it close, and when he hits it on there, he makes them with the best of them. So, I like that combination. And then finally, he is number 11 scrambling, which I already mentioned with what I was talking about Fitzpatrick, that's likely to be important here at the Open Championship. So JT, I hope you figure it out this week, buddy. I like your price, 22-1. I'm going to get behind you here. Andy, let's go back to you. Your DraftKings Darlings. I love your segment here. You always find those guys that, just have to get through the weekend to get value back. So who are your DraftKings Darlings you have circled this week?
Well, you're alluding to JT going, I believe, correct. I may have been Stuart Sink. I think it was Stuart Sink's caddy. I know it wasn't Grayson Murray, because Grayson Murray was too busy throwing clubs into the rough and breaking clubs over his knees. So I know it wasn't him. So yeah, all right, let's do DraftKings Darlings, and I'll give out my lineup. So I cashed my lineup last week. That brings it to 15-10 this year. It really was a tough week of daily fantasy, but my lineup had Schauffele in it. So you have the winner, you're going to have a really good chance to cash, and that's what we did, even though I had a couple guys miss the cut. So, all right, I have 2 lineups that have been uploaded into the Open Championship pack on WagerTalk, so you get this one along with another one. This one I'm calling Stars and Scrubs. These are guys that are going to be 7,100 and less, and then 3 guys 9,300 and higher. So let's start with my first DraftKings darling. It's Hao Tong Lee at 6,900. This guy loves playing this course. He's played here 3 times. He's finished 14th, 23rd, and 5th when this was strictly European Tour event. He's made the cut in 9 out of 10 tournaments, including a win at the BMW International. And this win was a little bit recent, so this isn't one of those where it was back in January, and I'm claiming that he's got to win, but it was 4 months ago. No, this was recent. So at 6,900, I get the guy that loves this course, and he's in really, really good form. I think he's a steal at 6,900. Next up, guy that loves playing these link-style courses and is a former major winner, Danny Willett at 7,000. Yeah, Danny Willett. He won the last tournament at this course, and he just plays well at Open Championships. He's made the cut in the Open Championship in 7 out of 8 years, including 3 straight top 33 finishes. So Danny Willett at 7,000, I think, is another one. I think he makes the weekend and gets you some points on the weekend. And then finally, Ryan Fox at 7,100 is going to round out my last for the DraftKings Darlings. He's made the cut the last 3 times he's played this course. He's coming into this week with 9 made cuts in his last 10 tournaments. He's made the cut in 3 straight Open Championships. This guy has just a professional athlete pedigree. His dad was a professional rugby player. He's got a slew of top 10 finishes in a row a few months ago. So he's shown real upside, and he's shown that he can play this course and in these conditions. He's a bomber, so he's going to get great length off the tee. So 7,100 is going to be a really, really good number for you to get Ryan Fox. So Hao Tong Lee, Danny Willett, and Ryan Fox are going to be my 3 DraftKings darlings. And I know you're going to love every single one of these guys because you've already mentioned 2 of them. Actually, we've talked about all 3. Leaves me enough money to get Shane Lowry at 9,300, criminally undervalued, 7 top 25 finishes in his last 8 times playing this course. Matthew Fitzpatrick, he's 9,700. I don't know how he's only 9,700. He's only the second hottest golfer on the planet. And the hottest golfer on the planet is only 9,900. That's Xander Schauffele. So we won his last 2 tournaments. So my Stars and Scrubs lineup, Hao Tong Lee, Danny Willett, Ryan Fox, Shane Lowry, Matthew Fitzpatrick, and Xander Schauffele.
Yeah, those 3 big names are as good as it gets, man. And I want as much money on those guys as I can. I'll toot your horn there with Ryan Fox. I mean, he's definitely a good find. And I think somebody that's probably going to get some, or already has gotten some attention at the betting window. According to datagolf.com, he's the 14th most likely golfer to win this tournament, according to their models. He's currently, he opened up at around 80 to 1. And he's been bet down to 55 to 1. I'm seeing it at FanDuel. He's still hovering in the 70 to 1 range at Bet365. So he's definitely gotten some attention, and I think there are other people on him. So it's a good find to get him at that price that you mentioned for DraftKings on daily fantasy. So I think a lot of people will do well with Ryan Fox, and I like him this week. So definitely a good find there, and good luck to you on your lineup for this week. Let's move on to our best bets for the show. Hopefully I can do better than last week with Sung Jae Im's terrible performance, but I'm going to go.
Do you know he's got a back issue? Did you know that? He withdrew from the.
Okay, why would you not tell me that last week when I'm suggesting to make the bet? You tell me that, now. You did me no good, Andy. You did me dirty like Matthew Fitzpatrick at the U.S. Open.
Well, here's what I know. So he withdrew from the Travelers, and remember there was the talk about he's going to Live Tour, and it was like, no, he's back injury, and then he missed the cut, and then you were on him at top 20, which I didn't think was that bad because I'm thinking if you're going to play in the Open Championship and you're going to play the week before, your back must be better, but maybe it's not. I mean, he not only has he been bad, I don't think he shot under 72 in his last 4 rounds. So, it was that was a tough one.
I did know that, and I thought I had read somewhere that he was feeling much better. It was behind him. He didn't think it was a non-issue, so I was willing to take that for what it was worth. But clearly, it didn't work out that way. So
Redemption time.
Redemption time is right, and of course, we had to talk about him anyway. So I'm going to make him my best bet of the week, and that is the one, the only Sir Tiger Woods to make the cut. Minus 135 at PointsBet. Now he's all the way up to, I've seen minus 188. I think that I love the roll. I think he's minus 188 at DraftKings. So definitely shop this one around because obviously you're going to get a big discrepancy in price. But minus 135, I think, is more than fair. And listen, there's no numbers you're going to go look at that are going to find to tell you to take Tiger this week. Obviously, he's only played twice this year, but both majors, he made the cut in both events. I bet on him to do so at Augusta for this, a lot of the same reasons I'm doing it this week, and that's just his course history here. He knows the place. He's obviously won twice before here. He did miss the cut in the last one. I do want to at least mention that. But this course, at least from a physical standpoint, is a place that he should be able to get around much easier than Augusta, which is just so much up and down, and much easier than Southern Hills at the PGA. He skipped the U.S. Open for the reason that he just didn't want to commit to that and those conditions, which was a smart move. And I think it's very telling that right after he finished at Augusta at the Masters, that final round, he was doing the press conference, and he immediately committed to playing in this event right then, but didn't commit to the U.S. Open or the PGA. It just tells you how confident he was that he could get around this course, and of course, how much it means to him, especially being the 150th edition. So there's a lot to like about Tiger Woods, at least his physical state and his mental state coming into this, and his belief in what he can do. And then, the one thing I'll mention, I already kind of alluded to it earlier about the history and if you believe in, these type of weird luck scenarios and, repetitive history type of things, is that I mentioned Jack already winning the 50th edition of the Masters at age 46. And Andy, do you know who's 46 years old this year?
Let's see. Who's 46? It's either Bryson DeChambeau's back or it's Phil Mickelson's bookie.
Both. Good parlay. It is, of course, Tiger Woods. 150th edition. Tiger's 46 years old. That's enough said. I'm taking Tiger to make the cut. Minus 135. Andy, what do you think about it? And what's your best bet of the week?
I think the weather conditions set up perfectly for him. He doesn't need to bomb it off the tee, doesn't need that much torque on the legs, on the back. And as he showed, his short game's fine. And seriously, besides Jack Nicklaus, he probably knows more about this course than anybody that's there. He has huge advantage with knowledge. And I think these dry conditions, I even watched him when they were playing that goofy team thing earlier this week. He was swinging at maybe 70%, 75%. I know it was just kind of a practice round, but the ball rolling set up so many easy, shorter shots for him. So like on these shorter par fours that are less than 400 yards, you don't need to hit it 340 yards. You can hit it 290 and still be coming in 70 yards for a wedge. I think it sets up great. He knows these greens. He mentioned how important lag putting is for him. I think this is one of the stronger bets that you've given out on this one. I'm all in on Tiger Woods to make the cut.
Nice. What was your best bet for the week? Now that you hopefully we both cashed that Tiger Woods if you're on it as well. What do you like for this week for best bet?
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You're going to hear a very common theme about Joaquin Niemann over Victor Hovland. Easy cash last week, and they gave it to us again. It's a little bit more juicy, but I'm taking it. We've been fading Hovland for a few tournaments with a lot of success. I'm going to do it again. The fade on Hovland is just how lackluster and bad he's been since the Masters. No finishes inside the top 20 since then. These two have played in 4 tournaments together since then. Niemann's 4-0 head-to-head. The stats are just bad. He's plus 0.26 total strokes gained, which is outside the top 70 in this field. Niemann's 23rd best as he's plus 1.33, so over an entire shot better. And Hovland's missed the cut the last 2 tournaments he's played in, while Niemann has only one missed cut since March. Neiman, 5 top 25 finishes. And you talked about around the green. Hovland is absolutely atrocious around the green. His stats are hovering around the minus 0.6 around strokes gained around the green. It's unbelievable how bad he is compared to everyone else. I think this is a huge problem of his, and I don't expect it to improve at a course like this. So Joaquin Neiman continues to be undervalued. He's flying under the radar. He's making cuts. He's finishing in the top 25. I expect him to do much better than Hovland once again, and we'll cash this 2 weeks in a row.
No argument whatsoever for me on that one, Andy. Victor's been a fade material recently, and it makes sense to keep doing so. So good luck on that one. I agree 100%. All right, let's before we end today's show, let's do our quick segment on the winning score, as this might come in handy for those that are in major type pools when you got to pick the winning score. Last week, you crushed me. I thought that thing was going to play easier because I believed the weather forecast, which I'm not going to believe the weather forecast in Scotland anymore. I thought that thing was going to get into the mid-teens as far as under par. It settled at, 7 was Xander's winning score. So you clearly beat my butt last week. So you get the honors of going first. What do you think the winning score is here at the Open Championship?
Well, it's going to be low. The wind just isn't going to get there to wreak havoc on these guys. I think the wind surprised everyone last week. I don't expect to see more of that. I have been watching the practices, and the roll is just spectacular. It's going to come down to short game. And with a field this loaded, there's going to be, I think, more than one guys that really get out there to some pretty low numbers. I think an average of maybe -4 to -5 per round is well within reach. So give me -17 as the winning score here.
Okay, that's going low. And you're right. If there is no wind, that number is likely to get there. I mentioned last week how I got screwed with the weather forecast, and I want to believe it again this week, but I'm a little skeptical, a little jaded, if you will. And I think all it takes is maybe, even if it's only a couple hours, one day that the weather kicks up, maybe just a quick, 2, 3, 4 hour afternoon type of a thing where, we're seeing 25, 30 mile an hour winds. I think it's enough to throw that average for 4 days off and perhaps just keep this thing a little bit higher scoring. So I'm going to go a little, higher as the total score, lower on the number. And that's at 13 under. I think we'll take this thing home this week. I hope that wind kicks up. I want to see it play that way. I mean, it's the Open Championship. Usually, that's what we want to see. We want to see U.S. Open. We want to see the toughest conditions known to man. Open Championship, we want to see 40 mile an hour wind and sideways rain. So we'll see how it shakes out this week. But I'll go 13. You'll go 17. Good luck to you on that one, Andy. Before we end, let's recap our offer for the viewers today for this week's pack, and that is use promo code OPEN20. Save $20 off our package. We're only priced at $39. You can grab that for just $19. Andy and myself both have a 5% play loaded in that pack as well, which alone sells for $35. So $19 gets you the 5% play plus everything else we have for the week, and we both do have quite a bit loaded in that package already. So definitely head over to WagerTalk.com to either one of our pages to check that out. Andy, love doing the show with you. I hope we both do well here at this final major. Do you believe it? We only have 3 weeks after this week before the playoffs begin. 6 total weeks left before this season is over. It's crazy how fast these golf seasons can go. So I look forward to getting back together next week. We have the 3M Open or 3M Championship, whatever it's called. 3M is next week, so we'll come back for that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Good luck with your wagers this week. On behalf of Andy and myself and WagerTalk.com, enjoy the Open Championship, and we will see you next week.
With football around the corner, time to start building up that bankroll. And we want to help by slashing the cost of all daily picks packages priced at $25 or more, including 5% best bets through the end of July. This amazing promotion runs from Tuesday, July 12th to midnight on Sunday, July 31st, and drops the pricing down to $25 daily packages for $12.50, $29 daily combo packages for $14.50, and $35 5% best bets for $17.50. But even better, this is the perfect time to take advantage of our one-day all-access pass. This package locks in the handicapper of your choice for one whole day for only $39, including when they have a 5% top play that usually sells for $35. But during our 50% slash promotion, you get a one-day all-access for only $19.50. We know this business is loaded with competitors and copycats, and we are very proud and extremely excited to be one of, if not, the premier sports betting information provider in North America. Our special discount pricing goes live on Tuesday, runs through the end of the month, does not require a coupon, and is available just by going to your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo Handicappers homepage right now.